Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another very exciting episode of Chess with Libbyves. Today we're doing a fun chess LARP run where I take you through my thought process at certain levels of the game. Today we are at about the 900 level. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Oh, don't want a 3-2. Well, alright, I guess we'll be fast with this one. I always open up with e4, see if he responds in kind. He does. Bring the knight out. Pretty basic stuff. I'm going for the Ponziani, which always ends up with a early pawn push here, which he actually walks straight into. You could trade attacking the bishop. He cannot take back. He has 2 to my 2. I think the best move here might be pushing forward. I honestly don't see this line too often, as obviously people don't tend to give me the entire center. It does not seem to be anything too crazy yet. We're just defending the center with our knight. I would maybe like to move this knight so that way we can have a nice light square or light bishop pawn chain here, or light pawn chain trade off our light squared bishop. Sorry. If he gives me that opportunity, I will. I didn't really think too much about this move, nor this castle. We're trying to be fast. Again, we have 2 minutes to make all these, or 3 minutes to make all these moves. Possibly could have gotten our trade there. He brings it right back. I'm thinking this, but not really loving that pawn push. Let's just develop our bishop, deciding where. If I move it here, he can always block, which is, you never really want to move a bishop that can be deflected immediately with a pawn. I could break the center, as I am already castled, and he is a little behind on development. I do not see a great reason to do so. Let's just centralize our rook, preparing our pawn push. See what he does in response. If he brings that knight out, I'm just pinning it. He has a very nice bishop here. I'd like to get rid of it. I probably could have traded the bishops. Now might be okay to break the center. Let's do it. Not quite sure if this was the most practical, correct move here, but shouldn't be too bad. Probably should have done that last move. Who cares? Double our rooks when able. If he takes back, there it is. Now we're just looking to develop the queen in some sort of fashion and double our rooks on the open file. Definitely would be more analytical, but we're trying to be fast again with this game. We can also start upon storm if we would like. Not too overjoyed about that idea. I'm thinking about queen move. Just trying to decide precisely where it'd be good. We cannot put it here because of this nasty bishop. Start pushing on this side of the board. Right? Don't love it. Don't hate it. If he moves that bishop, I can also, I guess, bring my queen this way, start a battery, but with the bishop in front of the queen, there's never really any real threat there. Now I can, I think, start the push. Alternatively, what even is this plan there? Maybe to start some sort of pawn push over here. I think the best move might be queen. Let's just do it. Again, not a whole bunch of time. Trying to beat him on the time, which we seem to be doing. We are probably about equal, but with his times almost half what I have, which is never great. Let's go for it. Oh, that actually would have been bad. Okay, well, slight miscalculation there will happen. Don't really hate any of his moves so far. I'm thinking I could either put it over the rook to h5 or just drop it back. Dropping back is almost certainly going to be the right move here. Let's just drop back. Double. Maybe I should have gone here for the opportunity to slide over. Actually, I probably could have just... No, I can't. This bishop is being a pain in the rear end. Who really cares? Let's just double. Queen or king moves over. Again, who cares? I could also push, sacrificing this pawn for the open diagonal there. I don't like or dislike any of this position right now. It's just going to be about going fast. I don't really have a move. Let's just probably actually should have pushed that all the way to a4. Oh well, oh well. Again, didn't quite mean to do this 3-2, but that's what we've got here. So I think the most important thing for these quick games are just going to be making moves fast without blundering, waiting for your opponent to do so, and then hopefully spotting it in time, which is definitely going to be the harder aspect of this. Now, if he does take my knight, it is probably going to be best to take with my pawn. I have two pawns in the center, however, they are disconnected. So that is a reason that I might want to take with the rook. However, that would probably hurt my overall structure here in the center, so we will just plan that. His bishop is now pinned to his queen, notably, so we should move our queen out of the way. So that way we can probably push f4. Let's just make a quick move again. Triple, loses his bishop. He makes a... Oh, interesting move. This pawn, this is almost hanging, but my queen is... He just resigns. Okay, wonderful. We can take a quick peek at the review, see what it says. 65%, not my proudest moment. Yeah, let's just take a quick peek here. Normal development, right? It was the best move to kick out the center. Probably, oh, wanted me to push again. Again, that's probably going into the weeds there. This notably was the best move. I've actually picked up the habit of moving my rook to about e1. It seems to always be an okay move, centralizing your rook. Now, you don't want to do it if, say, you're going to have to take that, the queen with the rook, then you're making two moves. With the same piece, which is never great. Bishop out was fine. Pawn push was actually the best move, surprisingly. Overall, I think I was pretty okay, pretty proud. I wouldn't say proud, pretty happy with this game. Apparently the queen move is incorrect, just because it wants me to double attack this here knight, which does look pretty scary as he has two pieces staring at my king here. But I guess it just does not matter as he's losing a full queen and a horsey. So what does it want? That first? No. I guess, oh, just attack my queen? Fair enough. Move my queen and then just play the game. Strange. Didn't like that move. Again, that's fine. I wanted me actually was looking at that rook move, but again, would be hard to tell at that exact moment. Stack our rooks. Apparently this was a miss. Who really cares? Apparently a full blunder. Oh, because it can pin my rook to the king. Fair enough. Whatever. He resigns. Wonderful. Let's do more of a normal game now, shall we? Or slower game. Probably just going to do... I'm a big fan of this 10-5. On Rapid, it is not too popular, so it sometimes takes a little bit longer to get in. This time it did not. Let's see if we can play the Caro-Kann. Alternatively, it's typically ends up being like the Queen's Gambit declined. Alright, Caro-Kann it is. As long as my opponent does not make any strange moves, you can just about pre-move this. Alright, pretty basic. We take in the center, attack his knight. If he comes back, we move back. Pretty simple stuff. It's taking a lot longer, given I was just now in the fast-paced mode. So I should slow it down. He does offer a trade here in the center. Kind of strange. I believe that is incorrect, just because I get to take his pawn for free. I might be wrong. Let's see if we can see any reason why he can actually... It's probably wrong. Nah. If he checks with check, that's just a full knight we're losing. Now, if my knight was here, that would be bad. So we have to remember not to bring our knight out because he gets to take with check, attacking the bishop. So as long as we do not blunder that, we should be pretty happy. I have done that before and even recently, so it is going to be very important to not remember that because it is so natural just to move your knight out. Protects his horsey, fair enough. Honestly, could just chop it off and not have to worry about it. Takes his queen if he takes with a pawn. That is a quite awkward piece. Let's just do it. Why not? Probably would have been better to push the pawn and start getting the development going, but like I said, I don't want to blunder that check. Let's just get it out of here. If he does take, I'm going to pre-move that, who cares? If he takes the center, he has an isolated pawn. Either way, I believe I'm pretty happy. Let's just get our bishop open. I actually probably should have just moved this knight attacking his bishop. We'll do that on the next move. All but certainly, his knight can no longer come out to the natural square here. He's attacking my knight. Who cares? Hit his bishop. Now, I do have a very nice outpost on the way that can be kicked, of course, but it is weakening his king over here. I also want to try to castle and get my rook to d8 if possible. Just because with check, either he's forced to defend or walk his king and really suffocate that rook. I think it's going to be maybe even important to fianchetto this bishop. It's very rare that I actually end up doing something like that. Let's actually not, for the sake of speed here. Decisions. Where to put his king is almost certainly going to run over to this side of the board. So I'm debating going out and protecting this knight here, even though it doesn't really quite need protection. If it ever, moves, I can then move my bishop and have a very nice diagonal that my bishop is sitting on. Alternatively, could push here, weakening the knight. And since he still has his dark squared bishop, when I push, at some point he might be able to play his bishop here. All these things are very, very likely. Also, this diagonal is just completely free. It would be kind of hard for him to enact counterplay, although that might be his best move, as his king can no longer castle. Pushing these pawns in front of his king will actually give him some breathing room to move his king out of the way of this rook. So maybe I don't want to do that. A safe move would just be moving my knight out. However, it would block this center. I think let's just go with that because I can move my knight again if needed. I am in no real rush here. I am up a pawn. Let's just get some pieces off the board, get some basic development, and win in the endgame. He is down a little bit of time. It does not matter too much. Yeah, should be just fine. I'm pretty comfortable right here as long as I don't blunder anything. Again, always looking for this move because it is just nasty if I get my pawn pushed twice, which actually could come from a push again. However, this pawn is here. If I push now, his bishop will just move either back or out of the way. Who really cares? He has made space for his king here, which is actually quite annoying. I don't really quite see a way to prevent that. You always have to look for just moves that will prevent him from getting his king active and his rook active. His king out of the way to get his rook active. His next couple moves are probably going to be like developing the knight, moving, and sliding the rook. I really like the idea of this diagonal anymore. I'm going to take it, because I can slide back here if this bishop ever moves back, which then I'm completely infiltrating his position, and it will be very hard for him to remove me. He actually walks up there instead of here. Did not see that move. I don't believe it is going to be as accurate, as this bishop is still going to be pinned to his king once I actually get this rook over. Now the question is, should I move this rook over or castle and move this rook over, or castle and move this rook over anyways? If two of these options are typically this rook over here, let's just take it. Only open file. My rooks will end up doubled probably on this one anyways. Looking for any reason that might not be the case. I still have this pawn push, and forgoing the castling of my king and walking to the center as well. I'm not loving that. I like castling, and it does not look like he has any huge counterplay, and I do have this knight to defend. Let's just... I want to play it safe and castle, however, risky business. Risky does as risky is, right? Let's move the bishop, not the bishop, the rook over. Let's see what happens. If he allows me to do something fun here, I would like it. However, I'm not really seeing a way that I win this bishop at the moment. The only way would, again, be pushing this pawn up twice. He is preparing to avalanche down on me. I don't hate that move by any means. Because once he moves here, I can just move back, but then he's looking at double, which actually I cannot get out of. Let me think. I can move here. He pushes his pawn. I say, who cares, pal? And now I attack that way. I actually kind of like that idea. However, again, if I go here, he goes here. I am now struggling to get my bishop out of the way, but does it even matter if I just immediately check his king, which is not really doing anything. He can just move right on over, but then I can move my bishop out of the way, back down to the position, or back down here actually. That might actually work out entirely. I can also just hit his bishop now. Let's do the fun move, because I don't think he'll see it coming, and I don't think it'll be horrible. Like, it might not be the most accurate, but I'll still get my knight into the game and back my bishop up, which actually, I would like my bishop to not be exactly there, so that way I can push the pawn and make more of an outpost here if he does push here. But I think that could happen in due time regardless. So it's probably not too big of a deal. Also, when I'm here, I'm attacking here. I'm attacking this empty space, which could be an attack on the bishop. Now, he does move his knight out, but it is on the edge of the board, which has to be wrong. Now he can't really move it in unless he's going here. I guess that actually probably would be his plan, to defend this here bishop. If he goes here, it's a little scary. I could actually just push this pawn and prevent that entirely. Not against that by any means. Let's do it, because now looking, he actually can't move his knight there. So it's kind of like I'm forcing his knight to stay bad, or he has to move he has to take time to move his bishop out of the way to move his knight in, which is definitely not ideal. If this move still comes, we still have the knight check, which I would love to actually do any second. Maybe I actually should have just played that, thinking back, because I mean, it's a check, he has to respond, but then he's over, and I'm really losing the pin on the bishop. He's attacking nothing with that. Now if I go here, he has to kind of defend this pawn. So can I take advantage of that fact? I'm not seeing it at the current moment, but it probably is not a horrible idea, because now I can just defend the knight with a pawn, creating the nice outpost, and it will just be kind of rough for him to do anything in response. He could trade the bishop for the knight here, which I actually don't think I'd love, because some of my very structural pawns are on light squares, which are making this bishop just kind of inactive. Yeah, he does indeed just move over. Is there any other move that I can spot? Immediately, no. However, I don't think I'm in huge trouble here, as long as I do not hang this knight, of course. Let's go into the think tank here. If I just defend it and he takes, now I'm having double pawns, which I'm not a huge fan of. Maybe this move was a little fast. Maybe I should have waited for this pawn push. Overall, I don't think it is completely losing. However, I might just have to admit my wrongdoings and retreat the knight, and have given his king a nice little stroll that actually unpins himself. I'm assuming that's what's going to happen here. I'm looking for different ways to defend that knight. My knight can't be defended with this knight, nor this bishop in one move, nor the rook in one move, so it leaves me either the pawn push or for it to move entirely. I don't hate this move. I do hate that move because it comes with the fork with the pawn push we've been talking about. Can't move it here, can't move it here. I guess I can't move it there. I could move it here, don't hate that move, but it blocks the center here. The only reason I could really think of to do that is to reroute it here, which would not be that bad. I could just admit my wrongdoings and move it back. But then it is blocking my pawns. Is there something I'm missing? I'm a little behind on time. Let's just keep it simple and move my knight. It's one of these two. One of these two. Let's just gotta play fast here. Let's offer a trade. Do I even take? I might actually take with the rook would be better. Actually, no. Let's take with the bishop attacking this here pawn. Either way, this rook is doing a whole lot of nothing right now, and let's keep it that way. So we don't want to put my knight here, as that would be a free knight because of the pin on the king. Yeah, let's just see what happens here. I thought a long time, which is good for him, but I don't think it'll matter too much as he's going into the think tank as well. Now I am a little behind because I have not castled, and his king is actually quite comfortable looking over there. If I were to move my knight to the center here, it would attack the bishop, but would again move for him. I'm actually struggling to see a great move here, just because I shouldn't have checked the king here, because he was kind of in a tough spot where it was hard for him to find a good move. Now, I have slightly helped him out. I do not want to help him out anymore. I actually probably did with that move. Strange. Definitely not a horrible move because he can double his rooks. However, I don't think it would be the move I would have made, just because who cares? I'll either move it back or just take. And then castle. And like I said, we're going into the end game anyways. That's our end goal here with up a pawn. I do actually think I did definitely miss this move. I'm not seeing any great response. If I go here, it's doubling my pawns. We don't really want that. I don't think it's the end of the world in this position. Let's just take. We don't have a lot of time. Let's just take. Let's castle. Let's get this game moving. Immediately, not seeing anything. Let's castle. Now, I was quite slow on the castle. Move 18, I castle. Definitely don't want to typically see that. I think I'm okay in this exact scenario. Now, the question is where to move this knight, as anywhere I go, this bishop can just kind of snap take him, which opens up and doubles my position. I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm actually now thinking about pushing this pawn and moving the knight back, even back here, to get him over here or over here. Wow. Like so would not be horrible, and then defended by this knight. I actually kind of like that idea a lot. He would have to almost kick, which I could push this in. This knight is not really attacking anything at all. Let's block off his light squared bishop. Now, if he moves here, slight mistake or inaccuracy on my part. He can just indeed attack this. However, I would probably just play and gamble the pawn here, hitting his rook, which wouldn't actually be the end of the world. He would just move it. Misses that entirely. I don't hate that move, but I don't love it. Let's just... I really want to move my knight to like here or here. However, I really don't like his light squared bishop at all. Again, we have to be fast here. Speed is the name of the game. We will think about it for another second. There might be a universe where I could plant the knight here. If I go here, here, get my pawn up here, and plant. Again, that's going to be slow and kind of a pipe dream. Let's go... I don't want to... Let's just... Tough decisions. Let's go here. Let's go with either of our plans. Should be fine. Now, again, I'm still kind of worried about that, but now I have this move, which should kind of hold my position together, but it'll still be a little spicy nonetheless. Decisions. I'm actually really thinking about this move now, just because it double attacks this square. I can really have it be defended. Now, this knight will be a little weak, but if he pushes, it's not really threatening anything. Maybe if he can bring his rook over, and now he's kind of threatening a little bit of something, but not really. Again, I'm not seeing any huge advantage for either of us, but I am still up a pawn, which means I should just hopefully be winning in the endgame. I am not the most precise in the endgame, but I have noticed that I am a little bit better than the majority of my opponents, not to toot my own horn, but especially at this 800, 900 level, people play all right. Even if you see them play like pretty decent throughout the beginning and middle of the game, they sometimes will start to suffer at the end. I don't like that move at all. I can just move my knight away and say who cares. Alternatively, let's just do that immediately. I believe you can probably, no, he can't push anymore because of my pawn. Not an overall good move by my opponent, I do not believe. Because, again, where's his knight going now? He can't go back. Is he going to go here? He can't attack. I mean, his own pawn is preventing him from doing any crazy maneuvers. Now, he might actually be able to slowly build up an attack here, which would be quite troublesome, but I think I'll be able to survive, even if it's just by pushing my own pawn, bringing my rook up, maybe even bringing my knight in some way that I can defend here. I can move it so I'm in front of my own king, preventing that attack altogether. Don't quite know what my opponent's doing there. I will just, oh, actually kind of see it. Maybe he's trying to get in. Let's just defend my knight and also prepare that move if needed. I'm looking more and more at this move as I want to kind of double attack that square that the knight was on, forcing a trade and a again, who really cares? If he's pushing, now I can actually even go here. No, not quite yet. But if he pushes forward and I go here, I'm not really seeing anything crazy. If he takes, that might actually be a bit of a problem. Now, if I also go here, let's do this. Let's do the move that I was talking about a bit earlier. It should be all right. Again, I'll have this. Oh, actually did not. This bishop has been a pain in my ass the entire game. Might be a bit of an inaccuracy as I can come here and lose the pawn advantage that I have. But now this rook will be open. So it might actually be a blessing in disguise. I'm also thinking I can just push, but maybe not. He might have a sacrifice tactic here, which would be a little annoying, but I actually don't think it's there at all. If I push, his knight can just move away. Maybe pushing is our best bet here. We are at a minute 51. We can't go too deep into the think tank. We have a check. I'm not seeing anything come from it at all. In pretty much any scenario. Maybe he would have to maintain defense of this here bishop. Again, it is going pretty heavy into the think tank. I actually don't see any huge issue with that move. I might be proven wrong here in a moment. If he can just sacrifice, that would be kind of crazy. Now, if he does sacrifice, it might be better to take with the pawn to open up my rook, but then I am completely like isolated this one here pawn, and my knight is like kind of stuck guarding it. So I'm actually leaning towards taking with the knight. Again, I have that move. I don't think anything here is too wrong. I'm getting a little bit into dicey territory as I am down on time. And again, he has a pretty comfortable position right now. Actually, he can't do a whole lot. I actually am not even threatening to take this knight, even though he respects it and moves back anyways. I'm looking into this check now as I think it's almost one of my only moves here. Let's play it quickly. My knight here was not defending anything hugely important, and I am not hanging it in one move. Now, I have a dual attack on this here square. I think I'll just take it and block off the scope of his bishop. I'm looking for better moves. I would love a scenario where I win another pawn. I am not seeing that scenario currently play out. However, this is now again pinned to his king. Let's move our knight back and plan to push. I think that it is going to be too telegraphed, and he's probably going to see it, and especially with me with a minute on the clock, I've done a little too much yapping this game. He has a couple ways he can trade this, but now that my knight here is on the defensive, it shouldn't be too big of a deal. We could just prove that. In fact, it might actually be good for me if he did that, get rid of another of his attacking pieces. And now if he takes, I am doubling my pawns, but I don't believe it is too big of a deal, especially because his rook can't really go anywhere comfortably. So he's going to probably have to step back. He steps out of the way of that there bishop. I think I'm just going to bring my king up, activate him. Again, we want to play fast here. Now I'm thinking about doubling my rooks, even pushing this pawn. Pushing this pawn actually might be the way forward. However, I do like the fact my pawns are almost all on light squares. Let's actually keep it that way. Thinking about it, his rook has still been out of the game. I'm worried about him bringing it in because it does change the dynamic of the entire scenario, because let's say he's going to activate it. It might take me 1 or 2 moves to activate my rook. I'm thinking about moving my rook to h8, as then I am attacking this, which he might have to move his rook again to defend. I'm looking more and more at it, and I'm actually quite liking that move. He does just end up taking, which I again believe is wrong. Now his king is just undefended in the center. Now there is no real threat, as he will always pretty much be able to move away. But if I go here and here, now I'm infiltrating on his second rank with my rook, which will be a little bit spicy for him. Again, don't think that's quite the correct move. However, I don't hate it by any means. I maybe should have played rook h8, which I was talking about. However, if he moves here, that is just simply a fork, which should win me an extra pawn. Now, that is all but certainly really all I need to win, unless he gets in and I miss everything. Let's just take. And now we're going to look at trading down our rooks. Crafty move, does not matter, I don't have to take. Let's again fork his pieces. Not a real fork since his rook is defending, but it does force him to stay in this scenario. Now if he moves forward, I'm not quite sure what I would do quite yet. Maybe I would move my pawn forward, maybe I would push entirely. I'm not quite there yet. He is completely surrounding me on this side. Let's just bring our rook back and defend. I don't know if that was even necessary, but it is what I've done. Maybe he should have played rook here and moved his king out of the way, and then I would be in a real tough spot. I think, again, I could have played rook h8 and rook h6 would have been fine. He does move out of the way, but again, I think it's going to be a little too late at this point. His attack is starting to fizzle out. I actually did not see this. He can take. I just take his rook. That's what it would be, huh? Okie dokie. Now, I might have miscalculated this, but that should be all right. He'll take, check. Does not take, check. Let's just attack his rook. He will be forced to move. This is where it's going to start getting a little spicy, as if we're going to move faster and faster. It is nice that I saw this. I think there might have been a little bit of counterplay, but on brief examination did not look horrible. I'm thinking about immediately this move. Just see if he blocks with his own rook, which would be an immediate win, because I would just take and he would be rookless. Alternatively, there might be a fun move here where I can kick his king away, but his pawn would be defending that. Now he does move there, which loses the rook. It does actually completely lose the rook, because my rook is cutting him off. Overall, pretty good game by my opponent. He just kind of succumbed to time pressure, I believe, which I was right there with him. Now there might be a quick mate here. I am not spotting it. He just resigns. Wonderful. I had 2 misses. Again, let's take a quick game review. I actually was quite pleased with that game. The eval might disagree. 79.8% accuracy. No brilliant moves. Played like a 1450. Fantastic. If we go through again, Caro-Kann, very basic stuff. Again, I think this was the very game deciding factor, was just him hanging upon on move 5 here. I mean, can't be doing that. Then he plays something stupid, which I guess I should have taken advantage by moving my knight and developing slowly. Whatever. Right, apparently that wasn't the best move either, but again, we're up a pawn, and we were just talking and playing fast. That was a miss. Apparently wants me to take the bishop, which I can, I guess, appreciate. Overall, no huge blunders by me or my opponent, I don't believe. A couple of mistakes here and there. Didn't like me rerouting my knights. Who cares? Yeah, and then once I got it open and starting to attack here, it was just pretty over. Now if we go back to this piece, it was not, did not really have counterplay. Oh well, and he resigned. Okay, wonderful. All right, the next game, I got a white, so we'll just go for a Ponziani if we can get it. That is a strange move. We will just take the center, honestly. Now, it is the question of will he continue to give me the center? He kind of does. Let's just take even more space. Now, I do not typically play like this, but I have started to appreciate the fact that this guy, I don't know if this guy's trolling or what's going on. Let's just develop our knight. Now, this is where it's going to be, and the game review is definitely going to say I'm playing inaccurately because, frankly, you never see anything like this. Honestly, there's no threat. I don't understand his position quite at all. Maybe he wants to push even more. Do I push my pawn again? That'd be disgusting. Plus, I would be really weakening my king, and I don't like that at all. However, you never learn if you don't play anything new. Let me actually go into a think tank here just for a moment. I really like the idea of creating a giant pawn pyramid and possibly trading off my light square bishop. However, that is going to be quite challenging. I can kick the knight, but again, where does he go? He can't go here. He would have to retreat, but then I'm kind of, whatever, let's do it. Now this pawn is going to be kind of weak, probably the entire game, just because of this pawn is so far forward. Maybe I shouldn't be playing these huge, grab a whole bunch of space in the opening, but what they say is always just take the space if given. I don't quite love any of my developing moves, as you, again, don't see this too often. Maybe I just leave and do not actually want to push this pawn. He does have stuff like this incoming, but it should be okay after something. I was actually going to say a check, but that doesn't work anymore. I can do the reverse kind of Karo-Kan defense, kind of the same vein. He doesn't have any development on this side, so even if he takes, it wouldn't be worth to attack that pawn. I think I just defend and say, who cares? I alternatively can just bring the queen to defend. A lot of options here. Let's just defend with the queen. Now, where do I want to defend, either here or here? Let's go here. Why not, right? See what he does. He's made a lot of nothing moves, which is strange, you know? I don't know what I should do here. I could push, and then he might just lose this pawn, but it is very awkward. I could push my pawn. I want to castle very soon. I really don't like the fact I have not castled in this specific position. Let's kick the bishop, because that's rarely a bad move. Now, I don't like if he takes this at all. What the hell is that? It's a nothing, right? He takes, he takes here, and I don't care. Let's just take the free bishop. Strange, definitely a strange player. Don't know how he's made it to 948. Probably just because players like myself have not seen any of these crazy openings before, where he doesn't follow any of the rules. He doesn't push any of his pawns except like off here. And again, now he's not even really threatening. Let's just either push our pawn here, go for a trade so I can bring my bishop in, or I like it more if we could just develop and castle. I could also fianchetto the bishop. I could bring the other bishop out. I like the idea of castling, like I've said. I can also destabilize by just taking this pawn, which he would then have to respond by moving, but again, I'm opening up my position, and I have not castled. However, let's do it. Anyways, even saying that, let's do it. His knight will have to be hung in one move. Would not be too surprised if I get a resignation here. Now, I am still a little scared because all of my pieces are really over on the left side of the board here, and not a whole lot to defend on this the king side here. Let's see what he plays. Frankly, you never know with this fella. At this point, I'm going to take every trade he offers me as long as it is equal material. So I should just win very comfortably up 2 pieces. If I lose this, I would be very surprised. I don't quite see what my... I would imagine his next move is to just castle. And I will maybe move my knight to the center. Maybe, I actually kind of really like that move. Get an outpost that he can't do much against. And again, if he offers a trade of, say, his knights, I will just take it. I'm leaning quite heavily towards that move. He's probably pushing. I'll just take. Who cares? Wow. Also, if he pushes, he hangs this pawn. Let's just take that outpost, shall we? Now, if he does not castle, I am checking him, which I probably won't take. He is not actually hanging this, but now if I do check him, which I'll probably check him first out of spite. Get out of here. Get out! Now, actually, maybe I should have taken that way, but I think this way is more fun. Because now after he takes, now I'm looking at a whole bunch of different things, really. I could even take now. Probably not. Let's just take here. I don't think that loses. It is going to pin my bishop to my queen. Maybe I don't even take that way. Maybe I take back with the knight. But it really shouldn't be too big of a deal. Because my knight is defending, I can just move my queen. Also, my curious move, I now have a completely passed pawn. Should just be terrible. Let's attack that pawn. If he offers the trade or he pushes, I'll just take it. Maybe, okay, let me slow this down, as I really didn't even think what his response would be. Again, who cares that much? He's been playing so poorly. He can't jump here, he can't jump here, he can't jump here, he can't jump here. He can't jump there, can't jump there. So where is he going? Probably just hanging out and going nowhere. Let's just take this pawn and attack the queen. Yeah, oh, does open up that square. Again, if he finds this move, and maybe it moves his queen as well, so maybe moves his queen now. Oh, doesn't work. Moves his queen. Man, he can't go anywhere, can he? He is almost stuck. He could move his knight back, which could just be met with something, but not entirely sure what yet. I'm kind of just going with the flow. He is suffering quite hard, I would say here. Let's get as many trades as we can. Thinking about this move. Take again. Kind of opens up his side, which he might want, but I don't know what else to do. Maybe I can, not this, bring my rook down, which I actually think would be nice. Not seeing the way to do that quite yet. I could just move my bishop here and no, I can't. Move my bishop maybe all the way down again. I can move it here. If your knight wants to take, again, I'll take any and all trades. Let's do it. Now, if he does take here, do I take with the pawn or the queen? The queen would release this pin. However, again, like I've said, this pin really doesn't do anything. He just moves his knight for some reason. Again, he doesn't have the ability to move his queen out. So he can't go here. He's attacking my bishop. We'll just either move or defend. I really like the idea of taking this more and more as he gets more developed, as the reason I didn't want to take it in the beginning was it would help relieve some of that pressure on his position. Now, it is probably still not a great move because his bishop still can't really move. And it is blocking this, so let's hang off on doing that quite yet. I do not want to hang this bishop. I also can't really move it from this diagonal. I mean, I can. It just turns this into more of a pin than it really needs to be. I can kind of put him on the same diagonal here and start lasering his position. However, there's nothing horribly or even really wrong with that. It's just kind of, it's enclosed even by my helping with the knight here. But maybe long term it will start to pay off. Now, if I miss something like this, I'll cry. However, it is defended. So honestly, I kind of want to get these knights off the board, because once the knights are off, you're not going to have any huge blunders. He just moves his king, which is totally fine. It is unfortunate he's moved that king off the same diagonal as his queen, but it is what it is. Honestly, at this point, I'm almost thinking about just pushing my pawns. I can move my queen off of this diagonal, so that way I can push this pawn to have more support there. Not loving it. Still is a tricky spot with this knight. He can't go much of anywhere, but maybe it would just be worth putting my rook on the 7th rank here. Played pretty disciplined chess, perhaps, right? Clearly, my opponent did not, and he's been suffering the entire game. Not only that, but he has just straight up blundered 2 full pieces, which was really strange. This pawn is pinned to the queen. Not that it's really going to matter at all. But maybe a scenario where he moves this pawn, I can sack or something, but he can take back. So if it was like attacked by a knight, I have no idea what my opponent is frankly doing at this point. I can, don't want to help him by any means. Let's just bring our other rook. Now again, my king is very, honestly, kind of vulnerable looking over here. I have 1 piece defending it, and he, in theory, could have 2 attacking. 3rd, maybe, right? But I would probably snap take immediately if he ever moves that bishop. Notably, I've been thinking this whole time the pawn was defending that square. It's not. It leaves my hand queen. Let's move our queen as soon as possible. I do not want to be the guy that wins the entire game and then hangs his queen at the end. So let's just get it out of here. Notably, I'm seeing a check on this diagonal. Does not seem to do anything, but it is there nonetheless. Another check is now going to be with our knight sacrificing. Again, probably not the best move. However, it is there. He almost certainly is going to have to defend with the knight now, or just move the queen or king, I suppose. If he wants to push, that'd actually be kind of a pain in my rear end. However, I don't think he's going to have much of anything left here. Very soon, he's going to start to run out of moves entirely. I could start to just double. Start avalanching into his position. I actually don't hate that at all. I actually don't hate that at all. However, after this move, I want to be precise. I could almost sacrifice the entirety of a knight. Probably not worth it. Do I take now? Probably not. I can check now. He probably just walks away. Big whoop. I can just defend myself. Again, he's kind of scary. Not really. I can push my pawn entirely at this point. Actually, probably not a horrible move. However, now that is available to him. Very sneaky position he has. Should be fine with perfect play, but I'm not perfect. let's just check him, see if he moves the knight back and admits defeat. Hopefully he does. That'd be nice, but probably not happening. If we can get the knight out of our position, we'll be very, very comfortable. He just moves. Should be wrong. Again, this push is always incoming. Let's just double our rooks on the 7th. Let's just play principled, snap take when we can, and then or move our rook down, snap take, take, and now he's very in risk of just losing his queen to me taking. I can't take there twice. Not quite sure, but it is definitely a tricky position. I can even just take now and just take his bishop and one of his rooks and try to secure the win. He does end up pushing here again. I'm not really sure how much I'm supposed to care because now with this guy here, yes, he's kind of infiltrating my position. However, he doesn't really have anything after the fact. I can even, where would I move my knight? Here, maybe? Again, I can take here, he takes here. Now this is just extremely scary. I can also just move my knight back, so if he pushes again, I just take and move my knight again. Probably not the best to move it onto the back rank. Let's bring it into the fray, I would say. But now I'm discombobulating myself. I am low on time, noticing now. I should probably just make a move. Any will probably do. Let's just bring him in. Let's now. My king is extremely vulnerable, but again, he's so cramped. He's so has so little material. Even if he starts to get in here, which he actually very well could, I'm just going to try to at this point bring my queen back over here and just try to get him out of my space. Maybe even initiate a queen trade, but overall he's in a very uncomfortable position. And he has 5 minutes to my 150. That is actually quite good for him. If I bring my rook down, that'd be nice. I just need an extra move, quite frankly. I can straight up play this move now, which would hang his queen and attack his rook, which actually might win me an entire rook. Is that the case? Again, I don't want to allow him to get into my position. Let's just bring my rook or my queen over, right? I'm failing to see exactly how he continues this attack, and I need to play fast. He can't play his knight over. He probably wants to get in to attack here. Maybe he pushes the pawn, but if he does, again, I'm just going to slide back. Maybe even bring my knight instead. Again, failing to see what he really has in this position. If he had one more attacking piece, he could probably sacrifice something. Now, this pawn is kind of compensating as one of his attacking pieces, but now, again, it's even if he pushes, I can just take. I don't see a scenario where he even gets in. His rook is blocked. This rook is blocked. He can't come down. It is very uncomfortable for him. I can just about take. If I bring my queen, he takes. Let's not do that because it could come with check. Now the question is, do I want to take this way or that way? Let's just take that way. Take into the center. It's typically a good move. Now again, it is scary, but he has to move his knight. He can't really go anywhere comfortable. Well, I mean, you can go here, I suppose. But now I'm just going to be initiating as many queen trade as I can. Just like keep initiating. Here's a queen trade. Here's a queen trade. Take a queen trade. I'm not seeing one if he... Whatever. I guess. Let's just double and get moving here. We need to start our counterattack pretty fast here. We have no reason not to. I don't see, again, a way that he can infiltrate in any manner. If he tries to bring it down, maybe he wants to come over here, but again, he can't even move his knight again. If I can get a way to trap his knight, Ah, missed that. Crazy. I always need to be looking for checks. I can just bring my hit my bishop back. Thank God. Alternatively, can move my queen. Let's just bring the bishop back. He probably missed this, wasn't calculating for it. He might have seen something I didn't, but he probably missed this. Now my bishop is pinned, but he's sacrificing the entirety of his queen to really exploit that. Now he is just going to lose after this trade. He doesn't even take it, which is crazy because I just move back. Now I am up a full bishop as well. I'm up 12 points of material. He doesn't have anything. Now he has 3 attacking pieces. Maybe if he sacrifices, he can get something moving, but it is just going to be difficult on all fronts for him. Even if, let's calculate real quick here. He can't attack, he can't check me here, can't check me anywhere. Let's just take. He brings it here. He's attacking that. I just come back and defend. Right. Should be fine. Maybe I should have brought my knight back. No, that wouldn't have worked. Again, he's failing to do like anything. This is just a full check. Let's take it. Now his king's going to have to move up. And he doesn't have a whole lot. I can bring my queen in, which might just be ending the game with that check. But I'm trying to make sure that I do not hang anything crazy. If I, nope, 1 minute left. I'm not too worried. Again, I should be completely winning. Let's just take it slow and make sure we don't lose. Now, I think this just wins. Alternatively, could have taken there and protected my knight for a discovered attack. I think it's fine. Very, very tricky, because if he takes here, I am kind of scared. Well, if I move my queen in some way that he could take there, then I'm getting kind of scared. Alternatively, I can start sacrificing full pieces for like pawns or just like slight positional advantages, as I am up so much material. Again, I don't know what he's really planning here, because I can just slide back. Now, let's again make sure I'm not hanging anything. I have so little time on the clock now that it is starting to become a little bit of a problem. He's no longer double attacking this fella, so I can in fact move my whole entire king if I would like. I think I'd like better to just initiate a queen trade or offer a queen trade. If he gets his queen off the board, I completely win without a question. However, I only have 30 seconds on the clock, so if I can get this queen off, I will be very, very happy. Now I'm thinking I'll just start taking that way. He is attacking this here pawn. I don't care. It will give me a discovered attack of some sort, which I could probably just do to reinforce my king and say, take the pawn, I don't care. That's probably what I will do. Again, we want to look for these checks that I've been just kind of blanking on. He has this, doesn't work. He does not have literally any other check. I mean, he could take with check, but again, who cares? I think we are going to see a resignation just about, probably not yet, but real soon here. Maybe 2 or 3 more moves, he might just give up entirely. Maybe he just goes to the end. I would recommend going all the way to the end to try to stalemate me. But I really think that is unlikely, because I'll just give him some room to move, or actually it'll probably end faster than he can do that. Now it is all but over. What's he going for? No one really knows. Let's just watch all the squares the knight can go to and make sure I'm not losing my mind. If I go here, he can just, in fact, let's just walk back. He can't go here, he can go there, but who cares? He can go here, but no, he can't. He is in a tricky spot. Right, do that move we were talking about, maybe even. Again, we can sacrifice entire pieces at this point for slight positional advantages, like here. It isn't actually even a sacrifice of a piece. I can pin his knight to his king, which is actually kind of fun. Let's do it. How's he going to defend everything? I don't think he can. If he tries to defend this way, have a couple checks that I can give him, which try to force him out of the way. Even this check, which could follow with one of those. It is very, very tough for my opponent. If he just takes, okay, you know, I'll take the check probably first and then respond. There it is, the resignation. Fantastic, I think, little game on my part. I kind of just, he blundered everything, so I'm probably not going to have great accuracy here. Holy smokes, a 90% accuracy. Love to see it. Play like a 1700, it says, to his 700, and I didn't have a single inaccuracy, mistake, miss, or blunder. Love to see that. If we start the review here, apparently this is a book move. My ass. Again, he is just doing some straight up nonsense in this opening. I'm already up, what is this saying? Up 1.69 on move. What even is this? 5? That's insane. Bring my knight out. He brings his bishop. Apparently wasn't the best move. Who cares? Kick him. Apparently wants me to take. Again, I don't think it's too big of a deal. Full blunder, followed by a full blunder. Crazy move by my opponent. Just castle. Again, I was very hesitant to kind of leave my king. Is so stranded. I've recently noticed that a lot of people are attacking very well and just like bombarding me with pieces. Again, this knight is kind of my hero, but that move was pretty nasty as well. Nothing too crazy about this game. Just again, making sure you don't blunder anything crazy in one move is very important. Yeah, nothing crazy. Apparently didn't love this move. Again, my knight was just so strong there. It just wanted me to stay. Whatever. He doesn't take back, and I move back. Beautiful. Apparently that was okay for him, but it was just over. That wasn't even my best defensive resource. Again, at this point I had some, oh, it tells me actually 52 seconds on the clock. Just making fast moves. And he resigns. 39 move game. Very nice. 90% accuracy. Cannot complain about that. Would have liked to see my opponent not just blunder everything in the beginning, but you'll have games like that where then you actually just need to convert the position. Other than those blunders, he really did not play poorly. He played pretty poorly, but I think it was more that I just capitalized on a lot of these mistakes that he had. Like, again, playing like this is considered bad, especially at the higher levels and by the computer, but it's going to take you to exploit that, because even with all this extra space that I'm getting, right, up until here, I mean, I was comfortable, but it was still going to be like a little difficult. Let's see if he plays the best move, which is just take. Now I was probably going to take with my queen, which is fine, but my advantage is slowly draining away, and as we get further into this position, if I make a single mistake, like, my advantage just keeps melting away. He's going to get easy development with an easy castle, and you know, if and it might not be the best move for him. Let's see. Yeah, sorry. Now he's just going to have an easy time castling. We're about even now, and it definitely could have been fine for him. I do have a nice center, but again, he can break it in a couple of different ways. Put some pressure on this pawn that is no longer defended by anything. If he were to play here, he's already having 2 attackers on it, and it would just be kind of difficult for me to defend this hanging pawn. It does actually want me to play here, but it would have been very, very difficult to maintain my advantage there. Luckily, I got a full blunder followed by a full blunder. He probably just missed that bishop move, which happens when you're tired or just not thinking, which I was in the same boat here at the end, where he was hitting me with a couple checks like this one. Did not see. I don't know how I missed it. I think I had a minute. I made this move in a couple seconds, and I just completely missed that, which is fortunate. It does not hang mate. Otherwise, I would have cried. I actually had a couple. I probably should have brought my queen back It like yeah, so I just didn't see this either. Again, so low on time. Definitely an example of why time management is so important. He had so much time on me that like if he had just kept his queen on the board right here, it would have like I probably would have won, but it would have taken maybe I have 32 seconds. Given I get 5 seconds to move. But you can't check every possibility in 5 seconds, and it's definitely very easy to blunder something in 5 seconds. Yeah, I mean, if he just brought his queen, where would he even go at this point? Like I said, I was kind of hoping he would here, so I mean, let's see what the computer thinks, because now I just get oh, I, again, didn't even see that. Not even the review, I didn't see that. Where can he even go? Is he trapped? No, he can go back. Which is fine. What does the computer want? Computer wants some garbage for sure. No, obviously he's not going to tell me best move. Huh. Maybe it wants me to check in some fashion? I'm not quite sure. Probably not the best move there either. No, I don't see a way that he can really get out of this too easily. Maybe just here. But again, he's just losing the pawn here. It is a very difficult position for him. I guess it was not the worst thing that he traded the queens, but it would have been hard for him to keep him on the board for sure. The computer doesn't like any move that really keeps the queen on the board that I'm seeing. So it was overall a pretty rough position for him here at the end. I can't believe the computer thinks this is just all right. Apparently it's mate in 7. If we were to find that, then you sacrifice the entire queen to defend yourself. I guess, yeah, once you're moving the knight out the way. Now the king only has a couple spaces to go, probably here, right? Yeah. Let's see if we can find this. That is a check, however, it comes with him able to trade down the rooks and win material there. I can maybe just pin the fella again. Let's see. What else? Do I have any other checks? No, maybe taking here. I mean, that's probably what I would do. It is just the best move. Is that even best to take back with? Yeah, probably. It doesn't even want you to take back. It just wants you to run, I think. Oh, maybe here? Could work. No, he just kind of walks back and it's mate. Okay, well, that's definitely strange. Definitely an interesting position. Can get my opponent, but seems like I just kind of walloped him. I don't think he should have resigned here. I would have had to find the mate in 6. Say, again, very difficult. He probably shouldn't have traded the queens, in my opinion, even if the computer says that's the best move. Just because it is going to be so difficult for me to find mate in 17 seconds. Probably would have promoted, traded a whole bunch of crap off, probably, taking this knight, obviously, and just tried to isolate my opponent's king by blocking off an entire side of the board with a rook, and just promote one of these pawns and then do like a ladder mate real quick. Probably would have been the best move, but overall good game to my opponent.